Somebody give you all the signal to be quiet? Good evening, everyone. The board participated in 3 closed sessions prior to this meeting so far today: an attorney-client session, risk management session, and executive session. Following this meeting, the board will participate in a special meeting this evening for the Inspector General search. We will now call the first school board meeting of 2020 to order. Mrs. Bass, would you please call the roll?
District 1, Barbara McQuinn.
Here.
District 2, Chuck Shaw. District 3, Karen Brill. District 4, Erica Whitfield.
Here.
District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson.
All right, I know Mr. Shaw is here, so we have quorum with all 7 board members present. Let the record reflect that we have not only quorum, but also at the dais is Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, our General Counsel, Julianne Rico, our Inspector General, Lung Chu, and Palm Beach County Student Council President Jaden Manuel. I'd like to remind all who will be speaking today that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so the transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Here to present the flag is the Royal Palm Beach Community High School Navy Junior ROTC under the direction of Israel Gonzalez, and singing the national anthem, Chasha English, an 11th grade student from Boynton Beach Community High School.
Colors. Hold. Left. Face. Order. Colors. Ready. Cut. Preset. Colors. Ready. Cut.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors. Ready. Cut. Pour. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. Arch.
Thank you, Ms. English, and the Royal Palm Beach Community High School Navy Junior ROTC. Board members, there are several sets of minutes on the agenda for approval. We need a motion to approve them. Motion made by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Dr. Robinson. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Fenoy, you have items added?
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to add at this time. Oh, I'm sorry. Items added are P2 and P3.
All right, as to item P2, good cause exists for adding these items, as to both of them, good cause exists for adding these items so employees can start in their new positions as soon as possible. Mr. Superintendent, are you withdrawing?
Yes, sir. I'm withdrawing COM4, COM8, and PC3.
Board members, so far we have 2 items pulled, FMPF1 and IG4. Does anyone want to pull anything else this time? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve the agenda as modified. Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, second by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Board members, do you have any disclosures or abstentions? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent, comments?
Yes, sir. Today is filled with hope for hundreds and hundreds of high school seniors in our district who may have not thought that, for financial reasons, college was an option. Over the past 2 days, the school district hosted our annual Historically Black College and University and Hispanic Serving Institution recruitment tour. 26 colleges and universities were on site at the convention center offering on-the-spot college admission. They also distributed $15 million worth of scholarships to qualifying students. I look forward to hearing the success stories involving the hundreds of students like myself who attended HBCU and are college-bound this year. The next month, February, is Black History Month. For the district, this is a time for students and staff to celebrate the achievements and contributions made by generations of Black Americans. It is also a time to reflect on the injustices that Black people have suffered and inequalities that continue today. We must all stand up against injustice, and we must all understand the sacrifices that were and continue to be made by Black Americans. Chances are you have never heard of a man named Dory Miller. He was a Black naval mess attendant who, along with 650 sailors, died in 1943 when the USS Liscombe Bay was hit by a Japanese torpedo. I mention this because Dory Miller has earned his place in the history books, beside a great number of Black Americans who made tremendous sacrifices for this country. The U.S. Navy will name an aircraft carrier after Dory Miller, who heroically leaped into combat during the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He saved countless lives. For his bravery, Miller was presented with the Navy Cross in May 1942. He was the first Black sailor to be awarded the medal, which is one of the Navy's highest honors. And now, news of Dory's other remarkable first. This marks the first time that an aircraft carrier will be named for an African American, and the first time a sailor has been honored for such actions taken as an enlisted man, not an officer. I encourage you to all read about Dory and his heroism as the U.S. Navy honors him with his name being emblazoned on an aircraft carrier. And finally, I attended Palm Beach County Days in our state capital to share the district and school board's legislative priorities. My other goal was informing lawmakers about all the great things going on in Palm Beach County schools. In case you missed it, Governor DeSantis proclaimed 2020 to be the year of the teacher. And I commend the Florida legislature for putting education at the forefront of their conversations this year in Tallahassee. We remain cautiously optimistic about the 60-day legislative session that will result in a compensation plan that not only reflects the true value of our classroom teachers, but also allows for salary increases to all critical school support staff, including bus drivers, custodians, food service workers, and other dedicated staff. At this time, this concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board member comments? Ms. Gwynn Nunn, Ms. Whitfield?
Yes, I wanted to make a couple. Thank you. So I wanted to talk to you all really quickly about last week's Palm Beach County Days. They were wonderful. And for those of you who don't know what they are, basically when the legislature convenes in Tallahassee, they assign each of the counties an opportunity to come up and talk to their legislature. So 4 of your school board members went, and I was one of them. And it's just such a wonderful opportunity for us to really bring Palm Beach County issues to the forefront, to really talk about the things that are important to us. discuss. So the things that I personally got a chance to talk to, and just so you know, no school board members go to meetings together. We don't for sunshine, but things that I got to talk about. I also serve on the Early Learning Coalition board, so I talked a lot about VPK and the allocation for funding there. We talked about the Best and Brightest program and some of the challenges we've had here at home with it and some of the struggles there. And we've talked about the funding with DeSantis and what he wants to do going forward with the issues about how much money would he actually give us to help fund our teachers. So I wanted to bring this up to you all because I wanted you to know that I think the time we spent there was very productive, was very powerful, and your school board was really up there fighting along with Dr. Fenoy and a few other staff members. I think we had a really wonderful time, and I just wanted to let you know that we're doing our very best by you. And I think Tallahassee is finally ready to listen to the issues with teacher pay. Thank you.
Ms. Brill?
Thank you. So as I was preparing my comments for tonight, I realized it's hard to believe that we haven't met since December. And we've been so busy this month. We also have so many exciting things coming up in the next couple weeks. But it was wonderful once again to have the opportunity to meet with our legislators and partner with the county last week in Tallahassee for Palm Beach County Day. But it was even better coming home to give out medals to our students at the 2020 South Florida Fair Kids Mile. It's such a great event, and the weather could not have been nicer. Thank you, Eric Stern, for working with the fairgrounds to coordinate this annual fun run, as I like to call it. After handing out the medals, Diana Fetterman, Erica Whitfield, and I ran home to change our clothes, and we headed down to FAU for the Ethics Bowl. Congratulations to all of the participating teams, and especially to the winners from Atlantic High School. What you don't know is that Mrs. Whitfield and I had our own ethical dilemma. First, I learned that one of my two teams that I would be judging in the semifinals was Park Vista Community High School, my one and only District 3 high school. And then I learned that Mrs. Whitfield was assigned Santa Lucis Community High School, one of her schools, for her judging. Now, although we could be fair, the optics would not be good, and quite frankly, it felt really uncomfortable. Would we be harsher judging our own schools? Would we appear to favor our own schools? Thank you, Becky Youngman, for quickly making a change in the schools that we would be judging so that we would not face our own ethical dilemma. And with that, belated Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mrs. Andrews?
And good afternoon to everyone. We've just celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And Dr. King said, I want to give you a few quotes this afternoon. The time is always right to do what is right. He said, everybody can be great because everybody can give service. If you can't fly, then run, he said. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. I want to say I had the opportunity to be with many of you over the weekend, as well as Monday. I saw students, teachers, many people from the staff, the district staff, all segments of our community participating at many levels for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with speeches, programs, banquets, parades, just general celebration of the wonderful, wonderful man who made it happen for this United States of America, celebrating in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King said, we must keep the dream alive today and every day by moving forward. This is what we're doing at the School District of Palm Beach County. He said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for others? We honor you, Dr. King, today and every day. We live the dream that you planted for us within our students, for education for all, for making our communities great, for working together for the betterment of all. And yes, I too had an opportunity to travel last week to Tallahassee to meet with the legislators on behalf of our school district, on behalf of our teachers and our students, and making sure that our voices are heard. We will continue communicating with our legislators as well as the governor, and we do believe this year will be a good year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Dr. Robinson?
Thank you. Good evening. As you know, I have to give my Black History fact since it's not February. So as Dr. Fenoy mentioned, the HBCU College Fair just ended. There were, as he stated, 26 post-secondary institutions there, including Howard and the other HU, Hampton. This event started with the group many years ago, 12 or 15 years ago, with the group of HBCU alumni getting on a school bus and visiting several different high schools to share information about our great institutions. I have to give great thanks to our high school counseling program planner, Eunice Greenfield, for one, hearing me, seeing my vision, and creating such an awesome event. We have outgrown the convention center. Okay, so now you know I love my HBCUs. At their peak in the 1930s, there were 121 HBCUs in this country. When I reviewed my family history, in my extended family, there are representatives from Howard, FAMU, Hampton, Morgan State, Bennett College, Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, Alabama A&M, Tuskegee, and probably more. Those were the ones I could remember off the top of my head. So you see, we're HBCU, right? In 2015, when Morgan Freeman received his honorary doctorate from Howard, he said that despite playing presidents and God, that at that moment of honor at Howard University would be his proudest moment in his grandmama's eyes. That's because his grandma knows the history, the purpose, and the presence of HBCUs. I hope that each of us realizes that during the post-enslavement period, African Americans did develop thriving communities. In addition to our colleges and universities, we had churches, schools, hospitals, businesses, banks, civic organizations, and everything else needed for a community. Everything. These institutions developed separately from their white counterparts during the era of legal segregation known as Jim Crow. One of the things that we had, and I wonder how many Rattlers know this, was a hospital on the campus of FAMU. There's a building on the campus of FAMU that first opened as a tuberculosis sanitarium in 1911. It was a two-story wood frame building. It was supervised by Jenny Hillier, RN, a graduate of Freedman's Hospital in Washington, which later became Howard University Hospital. In 1926, Dr. Foote, a graduate of Howard University, became the hospital administrator and established the School of Nursing in 1936. FAMU School of Nursing was the first baccalaureate nursing program in the state of Florida for blacks or for whites. He led a 10-year campaign to construct a new modern brick hospital, which opened in 1950, and it was dedicated as a hospital in 1951. I'll wrap up before they buzz me, but to let you know that that building now stands as the Foote-Hillier building, which houses the administration offices and other administrative services. So Rattlers, did you know that? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Mr. Shaw? No comments from Mr. Shaw. So, board members, I've attached the chairman's report to your agenda tonight. You also have a copy. One thing I want to point out is I did meet with Dr. Gonzalo Lacaba regarding follow-up on Ray and Associates on the beginning of January, just to make sure we are on schedule with the applicants. I don't know their names. I specifically told them I didn't want to know their names. I don't want to know where they're from. I don't want to know whether they're internal, external, but we are on schedule, and we're going to get an update this evening after this board meeting is over with. This coming Monday, I have a meeting scheduled with Inspector General Chu, General Counsel Rico, Human Resource Chief Lacaba, School Board Police Chief Kitsero, and on behalf of the Superintendent Chief of Staff Tierney, to explore the current process and discuss possible changes to the Inspector General policy to create a better, more coordinated working relationship between the various departments where there is an overlap of investigative authority. I understand that as board chairman, I do not have authority to speak on behalf of the board to direct changes to the policy. My only intent is to bring suggestions and ideas back to all of you after all of the other interested parties, the heads of the departments have had a chance to meet and discuss what they consider to be worthwhile changes and which are in the best interest of the district. So I'll bring back a report on that after that meeting. Tomorrow morning, I'll be traveling to Tallahassee. I didn't go last week because I knew I was going tomorrow. I have a meeting tomorrow scheduled with Representative Travis Cummings, who's the House Appropriations Committee Chairman, and I have a meeting with Senator Manny Diaz he's the Senate Education Committee Chairman. In the afternoon, I'll be with Mr. Burke, our Chief Financial Officer, to meet with various staff members to discuss all the things that Mr. Burke wants to discuss with respect to how we need more support, monetary support from the legislators in Tallahassee. Mr. Shaw, I believe you had something you would like to do at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask for a point of personal privilege to take COM 11, Adult and Community Education Month proclamation, out of order, vote on the proclamation, and then invite the Director of Adult and Community Education, Fred Barch, and the Principal of the Adult Education Center, Rick Swearingen, to share a few words regarding this proclamation.
All right, so Mr. Shaw made a motion to take COM 11, the Adult and Community Education Month proclamation, out of order. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. All in discussion? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Fenoy, would you please read the recommendation for COM 11?
Yes, sir. I recommend, Yes, sir. I recommend the board proclaim January 2020 as Adult and Community Education Month.
Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? Mr. Shaw?
Tonight, the board will be asked to approve a proclamation designating January 20th as Adult and Community Education Month. It is important for our district to recognize the educational opportunities that adult education offers to over 30,000 students per year. Adult education provides hope, a start, and opens doors for students who enroll. Alternative placements, high school credit recovery, ELL, and career and technical training is a beginning for furthering their education. Our program serves over 124 schools, students from high school through to senior citizens. I understand we even have an adult ed student who's 85 years old taking classes to get the GED, after-school credit labs, and a host of community programs. So at this time, I'd like to invite the board, since we go into presentations, to go ahead down to the floor for us to recognize Mr. Barch and Mr. Swearingen for this.
All right, so we need to vote on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. After this, would you all please stay down there because we'll go straight into presentations by Ms. Naka Nolan from the Communications Department. Yeah, it's mine. I don't want to forget it.
Don't worry about it.